Are you struggling to scale your Amazon PPC sales? I'm David Goldenberg, and I led the marketing for an Amazon seller that grew sales from 30 million a year to 81 million a year. And I want to share a little story about a time when we had a very big campaign crash overnight. Why did it happen? How did it happen to you? And what's the free tool I want to share that helps identify these situations right away so that you can respond immediately? And when you make new campaigns, add new keywords, add new targets to existing campaigns, you get incremental sales and don't just replace sales that got lost without you noticing. That way, your incremental efforts allow you to scale and not just stay in the same place. I once had a huge Amazon PPC campaign crash overnight. What made it take off? And why did it crash? And what free early warning systems can you use to respond quickly if they do crash? One Thursday afternoon, I submitted a new campaign to Amazon. When I checked it after the weekend, I saw it had made $21,000 at an 11% ACOS. I was thrilled, as you can imagine. But what made this campaign take off? There are a few contributors that helped this campaign to take off. First of all, the new headline was benefits driven. The old headline talked about some general statement like being perfect for the summer nights. The new benefit driven headline is why, with the same keywords, we saw that we were getting our ad clicked more frequently for each time it was shown, a higher click-through rate, which means we were getting more market share and converting more clicks into orders. Second, the campaign launched towards the end of March. That's when summer season starts to lift sales for products in the yard and garden category. Third, we weren't starting with brand new products. These were products that already sold well before and had lots of reviews. So the campaign picked up and we started to double down, adding more keywords, raising bids, paying very close attention. But then we got slapped hard about 10 days into June. So peak summer season, the campaign totally stopped producing. We would have shot it down like a bird in Nintendo's classic Duck Hunt. We didn't pause keywords. We didn't lower our bids. Eventually, we found that one of the 3 products featured in the sponsored brand headline went out of stock. At the time, Amazon would basically cut your impressions down 90% or more if one of your 3 featured products in the sponsored brand ad went out of stock. How would Amazon handle that if it happened today and your sponsored brand had one of the products featured in it go out of stock? Nowadays, things are both better and worse. How does the sentence even make sense? Things are better because if one of your products are out of stock, Amazon will just hide it and show 2 products instead, so your ad can still run. If 2 are out of stock, Amazon will hide those 2 and show 1. Even hide all 3 and just show your headline and the custom image. And that's why things can be worse. On large accounts, it's easy to miss that 1 or more products went out of stock, and your campaign slowly converts less and less and less until they're suddenly forced to turn off. The crazy thing is that we almost didn't find out about our campaigns getting slapped by Amazon. How can one of your top running campaigns hit the rocks and you don't know? It's actually more common than you think, as these screenshots show. They're ads that kept running with 1 or more products out of stock. Maybe it's even happened to you, or is happening to you right now. And it took me a while to figure out how to prevent it happening again. I'd like to tell you how we noticed something was the matter, how we pinpointed the problem, and give you my exact strategy and the free tool I use now so that it doesn't happen to you. Because this is not just something that can happen if you go out of stock. It can also happen from a sloppy bid change. It could happen from competitors raising bids. It can happen for seasonality or even other miscellaneous reasons. If this happens to you, you need to respond fast to recover your losses and prevent them from getting worse. So what did we do to find out there was a leak in the ship? And how can you set up early warning systems for your ads? When sales started to go down at the account level, despite still being in season, we decided to dig into our campaigns and see which ones specifically were losing sales. We started with the biggest campaigns first, sorting by sales over the last 30 days. We quickly found the campaign that the impressions had tanked, and looking at the creative, we saw what had changed. We were surprised at how long it took us to find out though. The campaign had lost most of its traffic a few weeks ago, and we had only noticed now. Why didn't we notice earlier? How could we avoid this happening again? Watch this to the end to get a free download of an Excel spreadsheet and the SOP, standard operating process, that we use nowadays to solve these issues. The agency we worked with at the time would report weekly on overall sales, on spend, ACOS, impressions, clicks, and other key metrics. That was a good measure to see if things were improving or getting worse at the account level. But it didn't tell you why things were changing, nor did it tell you how to prevent it going unnoticed in the future. I compared the situation to someone filling a bucket with money every week. The report seemed to show that our bucket was as full as it had been the previous week, so we assumed that nothing was wrong. But really, the new ad campaigns were filling money on top, and the old campaigns were leaking money out at the bottom, so the new campaign's revenue hid that there were leaks in the bucket. Eventually I asked, how could it be that we weren't seeing these sales in the bucket rise higher, even though we're making new campaigns and they're proving successful? We should have seen a total higher weekly sales in the weekly report, right? But this metaphor of the bucket helps you appreciate that we didn't see what was going on because we're looking down from the top and we missed what was going on at the bottom. So we investigated and so on, like I shared. But what's important is that we developed a method with a very simple spreadsheet that anybody can update. I'll give you the spreadsheet in a moment. And that allows you to answer the question, where exactly are things happening? Pinpoint it right away. And then it's really simple to figure out what the problem is. We've made up the Money Bucket spreadsheet showing weekly sales at the target level. It allows you to immediately see how your targets have been doing over the last several weeks or months. Just look along the row to see the history of the keyword to understand where things are going. That also allows you to better interpret last week's numbers. There's always some variation up or down. The question is, how big is the difference versus what's normal? So it shows your last 4 weeks trailing average, so you can better understand how big a drop is compared to the average, and if you need to take action, or it's just within the normal range of variation. And you can see when you're above the recent average sales numbers. So you can double down. You can raise bids or add related keywords to the campaign and grow sales that way. And you can click through to the campaign level to investigate bid changes, creatives, and so forth. So that's the idea of the Money Bucket in a nutshell. If you want to get a free download of our Money Bucket, check out the description below for a link, and you can start implementing that very easily, even if you know hardly anything about Excel. And we've also got this super video on how to target the highest volume keywords, those 1 or 2 word keywords that dominate your market, the top of funnel keywords. For example, we're going to talk about plant. So how do you perform on vague keywords like that? We've got an amazing case study where we did over $400,000 in sales with campaigns that did exceptionally well, not just in terms of generating lots of sales, but at a low ACOS and especially a high click-through rate, which is super hard to do when the intent is vague.